Level 1. The Accidental Billionaires. This is the base camp of the billionaire hierarchy, the tier where unimaginable wealth arrives not through brilliance, grind, or masterful decision-making, but through ancestry, timing, or what can only be described as a cosmic clerical error in their favor. These are the billionaires who didn't claw their way up the mountain. They simply woke up at the summit already wearing monogram pajamas, sipping tea from a thermos embossed with their family crest, and being informed by a politely sweating accountant that, yes, their net worth just increased again for reasons no one fully understands. Picture heirs like the Walton siblings, whose wealth flows from the Walmart empire like a never-ending dividend waterfall, or the Mars family, who essentially turned chocolate into a multi-generational financial cheat code. Their fortunes are less self-made and more pre-installed, like luxury software that comes bundled with the right last name. It's not that these billionaires are unlikable. In fact, they're often disarmingly pleasant. They offer gentle smiles in interviews, speak cautiously about their philanthropic initiatives, and deploy corporate buzzwords with the practiced ease of someone who has been coached by 3 PR specialists and a brand strategist. Sometimes they even seem a little bewildered by the scale of their own wealth, as though they, too, are waiting for someone to announce that a decimal point was misplaced. Their empires aren't powered by innovation or disruption. They run on inheritance, institutional momentum, and that unstoppable physical phenomenon known as generational wealth inertia. Once a fortune reaches this magnitude, it behaves like a celestial body, massive enough to generate its own gravitational field, attracting even more wealth simply by existing. At this level, being a billionaire isn't an achievement. It's a status condition, a congenital trait, a lifetime membership to a club that nobody can apply to. You either pop out holding a golden ticket or you don't. And the accidental billionaires? They popped out with the whole box. Level 2. Flash-fried billionaires. This tier is populated by people who vaulted into the billionaire stratosphere so fast that their business cards were still warm from the printer. They didn't merely ride a trend. They strapped themselves to whatever economic rocket was pointed vaguely upward and held on for dear life. Tech, crypto, meme stocks, pandemic darlings, speculative Web3 ecosystems, or whatever financial mood ring was glowing neon that quarter. These folks managed to convert hype into net worth with the efficiency of a toaster on turbo mode. But here's the catch. The same forces that flung them into billionaire status can yank them right back down before they finish their keynote presentation. Their wealth is volatile, dramatic, and deeply photogenic. The kind of net worth curve that looks less like a financial metric and more like a cardiogram during a panic attack. One market sneeze, one earnings call meltdown, one tweet from an overly caffeinated CEO, and poof, half their fortune evaporates before they've even ordered lunch. Classic examples include Sam Bankman-Fried during the meteoric, too-good-to-be-true rise of FTX, followed by the kind of collapse normally reserved for prestige drama finales. Do Kwon riding the Terra/Luna rocket straight into the financial stratosphere before gravity remembered he existed, and those early pandemic paper billionaires minted by Zoom, Peloton, and any other company briefly mistaken for the permanent future of civilization. For a glorious moment, their valuations soared like hot air balloons. Then the world reopened, and those balloons deflated into sad latex puddles of market corrections. Flash-fried billionaires speak fluent trend jargon, a dialect composed almost entirely of buzzwords. Their public statements sound like they were assembled by a conference panel random phrase generator. Blockchain-enabled synergy, hyperscalable, decentralized innovation, AI-driven agile disruption, metaverse-forward consumer ecosystems. Their TED Talks are delivered with radiant confidence, sprinkled generously with futurist prophecies, and tend to age like sushi someone forgot on a windowsill. To be fair, they usually have some real insight or talent, but they also have a deep, possibly unhealthy relationship with adrenaline. Their fortunes are made in environments where the ground shifts daily and the rules were written by someone who was trying to finish before a crypto token expired. They are part genius, part gambler, part influencer, and part walking Pyrex bowl, transparent, fragile, and frequently subjected to temperatures no one was designed to withstand. Flash-fried billionaires don't just get rich quickly. They live quickly. One day, they're on magazine covers. The next, they're in Twitter Spaces explaining why their algorithmically stabilized token unexpectedly developed the emotional stability of wet tissue paper. They embody the modern financial era's central truth. Wealth can be conjured overnight, but stability is a luxury no amount of buzzwords can guarantee. Level 3. The Brand Billionaires. Welcome to the realm where wealth is constructed not from silicon, supply chains, or speculative bubbles, but from pure, distilled cultural gravity. This is the tier of billionaires whose net worth is essentially the market value of their own existence. The people who've perfected the art of turning identity into industry. Their businesses aren't built on intellectual property so much as personal property. Their face, their name, their vibe, and the gravitational pull of their online presence. These are the billionaires who don't just sell products. They sell aesthetic ecosystems. Their fortunes rise from the ability to make millions of people collectively whisper, "I need that," even if no one is entirely sure what that is, how it works, or why it costs $48 plus shipping. Take Kim Kardashian, the reigning empress of this category. Her empire sprawls across beauty, shapewear, fashion, reality television, personal branding, and the undefinable yet powerful industry known simply as being Kim. She is a masterclass in cultural longevity, part mogul, part myth, part living algorithm optimized for global relevance. Her businesses succeed because she understands, with frightening precision, how to convert attention into capital. Or Rihanna, who took Fenty Beauty and transformed it from a celebrity product line into a global phenomenon that reshaped the beauty industry's standards overnight. Fenty's success didn't come from novelty. It came from Rihanna's ability to make an entire demographic feel seen and to make inclusion feel luxurious. She built an empire through authenticity, creativity, and the kind of effortless cool that cannot be taught, only monetized. Then there's Kylie Jenner, the poster child for the modern merch to millions pipeline. Her exact billionaire status has fluctuated more than crypto prices on a Tuesday morning, but the numbers are almost beside the point. What matters is that she possesses one of the most powerful sales weapons on Earth. A social media post capable of causing products to sell out faster than concert tickets for a nostalgia tour. She embodies the template for influencer industrial wealth. Build a brand, drop a product, cause the internet to collectively lose its composure. Brand billionaires are not titans of infrastructure or logistics. They're titans of attention, an economy where engagement is the currency and followers are the raw material. Their power lies not in patents or proprietary algorithms, but in their uncanny ability to stay captivating. Their businesses orbit around aesthetics, identity, and parasocial loyalty. Their companies can span makeup, lingerie, skincare, fashion capsules, tequila launches, fragrance lines, wellness products, and any other object that can be photographed under perfect lighting. They are watchable, marketable, and astonishingly resilient, as long as the glow of their brand stays bright. Because for them, the greatest asset isn't inventory or innovation. It's visibility. The moment the spotlight shifts, their empires quiver. But while it's on them, they are financial supernovas, converting fame into fortune with the precision of a luxury-grade printing press. Level 4. The Competent Titans. Now we enter the realm of billionaires who didn't rely on inheritance, virality, or cosmic timing. These are the builders, the people who constructed something real, functional, durable, and impressive without needing to reinvent the known universe. Their businesses aren't speculative fever dreams or branding juggernauts. They're solid, scalable enterprises with actual customers, clear revenue streams, and business models that don't collapse upon contact with oxygen. These are the billionaires you can explain to your parents without needing diagrams or a glossary of crypto jargon. Their work makes sense. You can point to it. You can usually touch it. Their success is not an accident. It is the result of competence, strategy, and the kind of long-term discipline that leaves venture capitalists breathing heavily. Take Reed Hastings, for example, the unassuming architect of Netflix's metamorphosis from red envelopes in mailboxes to global streaming domination. While other founders were chasing trends, Hastings quietly dragged an entire industry into the future with a mix of foresight, stubbornness, and a willingness to torch his own business model before someone else could. Netflix may not be the scrappy upstart anymore, but its success is a testament to the kind of operational excellence that defines this tier. Or look at Indra Nooyi, the powerhouse CEO who didn't just run PepsiCo. She reshaped it. Under her leadership, the company diversified, modernized, and expanded into a vast network of food and beverage brands that reach billions of people. Nooyi didn't ride a wave. She built one. Her track record is the corporate equivalent of a symphony, complex, balanced, and astonishingly well executed. Then there's Jack Ma, who turned Alibaba into an e-commerce titan that reshaped consumer culture across Asia and beyond. Even as his public presence has faded and the political climate around him has shifted, the scale and impact of his creation remain undeniable. Alibaba isn't a trend, it's an ecosystem. Competent titans are respected, stable, and rarely embarrassing. They're not out here tweeting themselves into regulatory investigations, nor are they trying to disrupt the concept of chairs. They're not promising flying cars or blockchain refrigerators. They're too busy running companies that actually function. Their wealth comes from discipline, execution, and the unglamorous grind of making things work at scale. They aren't rewriting the rules of capitalism, but they are high-scoring students of the existing system. Their businesses hum. Their ideas translate. Their legacies, while not always flashy, are undeniably effective. If the billionaire hierarchy were a house, these are the structural engineers, not the decorators, not the influencers, not the gamblers. Just the people who know how to build something that stands. Level 5, Industry Kings and Queens. Now we're in the territory of billionaires who didn't just build successful companies. They became the gravitational centers of entire industries. These are the figures whose decisions cause stock markets to twitch, whose product announcements rearrange global supply chains, and whose platforms quietly mediate the daily lives of billions. They don't merely participate in capitalism. They help set its rules. These are the monarchs of modern industry. Not by royal decree, but by sheer scale. Consider Jeff Bezos, the architect of Amazon, a company that began by selling books and somehow evolved into the world's default shopping cart, delivery pipeline, cloud backbone, streaming service, AI research center, grocery store, pharmacy, and occasional disruptor of unrelated industries just for sport. Amazon isn't merely a company. It's a quasi-infrastructure system woven into the fabric of daily life. Bezos didn't create a business. He created a logistical gravitational field. Then there's Larry Page and Sergey Brin, who launched Google and effectively rewired human cognition. Before them, information retrieval was a chore. After them, it became a reflex. Google it replaced look it up, and with that shift came the quiet restructuring of how we learn, navigate, communicate, and procrastinate. Google is not just a search engine. It's the front door to the internet. And of course, Mark Zuckerberg, the man who decided the social connections of the planet needed centralization and then built the digital town square where much of modern life unfolds. Whether Facebook, Instagram, or WhatsApp, his platforms serve as humanity's collective diary, scrapbook, megaphone, and occasionally dumpster fire. For better or worse, Zuckerberg helped re-engineer global communication, politics, culture, and the way your aunt shares articles she didn't read. Industry kings and queens are far from flawless. They have endured controversies, regulatory volleys, and congressional hearings where they delivered robotic responses under fluorescent lighting. They've apologized, reassured, recalibrated, deflected. Some of their live-streamed testimonies have aged like dairy products left in a desert. But none of that erases the magnitude of their influence. Their companies operate like parallel universes. Self-contained ecosystems with internal laws, currencies, hierarchies, and gravitational pulls so strong the outside world bends around them. These aren't just businesses. their infrastructures, cultures, and economic climates unto themselves. They're not the absolute elite of the billionaire pyramid. Not yet, but they're the titans who keep capitalism lively, unpredictable, and occasionally terrifying. They don't just shape markets. They're markets. Level 6, the architect billionaires. Welcome to the stratosphere. This is the level where wealth stops being the goal and becomes the exhaust. Architect billionaires aren't building companies. They're engineering new realities. They don't just play the game of capitalism. They stretch its boundaries, redraw its maps, and occasionally flip the entire board over to see what happens. At this altitude, the air is thin, the stakes are enormous, and the ideas are so big they often sound like science fiction until suddenly they're not. Take Elon Musk, perhaps the most polarizing figure ever to hold a manufacturing line, a rocket engine, and the internet in one hand. Electric cars, private spaceflight, reusable rockets, satellite networks, battery tech, tunnel systems, neural interfaces. Musk's portfolio reads like the brainstorming notes of a futurist who swallowed a physics textbook and washed it down with Red Bull. Whether you see him as a visionary or a chaos elemental in CEO form, his fingerprints are on industries that were stagnant for decades until he flipped the lights on. He bends markets, terrifies competitors, and occasionally sends entire financial sectors into interpretive dance. Then there's Jensen Huang, the leather-jacketed oracle of NVIDIA. What started as a company that made graphics cards for gamers evolved, under his direction, into the beating heart of the AI revolution. His chips power everything from generative models to scientific research to autonomous vehicles. NVIDIA didn't just ride the AI wave, it helped summon it. Huang's vision turned GPUs into the new industrial steel, and the modern tech world now moves in rhythm to NVIDIA's supply chain. And of course, Warren Buffett, the quiet titan, the oracle who made patience, discipline, and common sense into a trillion-dollar philosophy. While others chased hype cycles, Buffett mastered the long game with such consistency that entire schools of investment thought grew around his words. His annual letters are treated like scripture. His decisions ripple through markets with the reliability of a well-timed tide. Buffett isn't flashy. He doesn't need to be. He is the gravitational constant of global finance. Architect billionaires operate on a plane where single decisions can reroute global logistics, recalibrate technological trajectories, or wipe billions off the market because they tweeted something elliptical at 2 a.m. They are visionaries, strategists, empire builders, and sometimes agents of productive chaos. Their ambitions don't fit neatly into slideshows or quarterly reports. They spill over into geopolitics, innovation cycles, regulatory frameworks, and the collective imagination. What defines this tier isn't just scale. It's direction. These billionaires don't merely participate in industries. They create the industries everyone else eventually joins. They move faster than governments, think bigger than corporations, and operate on timelines measured not in earnings reports, but in decades, destinies, and occasionally interplanetary aspirations. They stand at the edge of possibility and then lean forward. Level 7, the goats of wealth. Here we stand at the absolute summit, the thin, icy upper atmosphere of human achievement where only a microscopic handful of billionaires will ever breathe. This is not merely the top of the hierarchy, it is the pantheon, the place where wealth becomes inseparable from world history, where individual ambition collides with civilization itself. These are the figures whose legacies are so vast, so deeply interwoven with the modern world, that removing them from the timeline would cause reality to glitch. These aren't just billionaires, they're epics in human form. Take Bill Gates, the architect of the software age, the quiet revolutionary who turned personal computing from an obscure hobby for tinkerers into a universal human interface. Windows didn't just dominate computers. It became the default operating system of the planet's daily life. Gates took the idea of a computer on every desk and in every home and made it not a prediction, but a baseline expectation. His philanthropic pivot later in life didn't erase his tech empire. It broadened his influence into global health, education, and the literal eradication of diseases. Gates isn't part of the story of technology. He is the story. Then there is Steve Jobs, the patron saint of design-driven innovation, the man whose eye for simplicity reshaped entire industries. Jobs didn't just create products. He engineered cultural moments. The iPhone alone rewired global communication, photography, entertainment, navigation, commerce, and our collective attention span. The ripple effects of his work define the modern era. How we listen to music, how we watch films, how we interact with information. Jobs didn't follow consumer behavior. He rewrote it, then packaged it in glass and aluminum. And towering above history, perhaps less beloved but arguably unmatched in scale, stands John D. Rockefeller, the oil titan, the industrial emperor, the man whose fortune was so vast that economists still struggle to map it onto modern equivalents with a straight face. Rockefeller didn't just dominate the oil industry. He invented the structure of modern corporate capitalism. His methods shaped antitrust law, philanthropy, energy infrastructure, and the economic architecture of the United States. The institutions he founded, universities, foundations, public health systems, continue to shape civilization a century after his death. His legacy is measured in industries, not in dollars. Level 7 is the domain of world shapers. Titans whose work became the scaffolding for modern society. Innovators whose ideas permanently altered how humanity functions. Their impact is not annual, not generational, but civilizational. You don't merely study their companies. You study their philosophies. Their careers are case studies. Their decisions are turning points. Their creations, operating systems, smartphones, energy networks, are the skeleton of the modern world. These are the figures who don't just sit atop the mountain. They're the bedrock the mountain stands on.